All right, welcome to another No Gi Required podcast. And one of the reasons I end up doing podcast was because I love to hear stories from people, and especially real people. I have here with me Jay Zeballos, as always, Mike Zeballos, and I have two incredible guests that we exchanged some text message through my cousin Renzo Gracie. We end up actually meeting each other in person. Then, man, I would love to hear more from them and everyone else also. I would like both of them to introduce themselves. Joey, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us on here. This is an incredible honor for both of us. My name is Joey Bozik, born and raised in North Carolina, joined the military 2000, served from 2000 to 2006, Afghanistan, Iraq, lots of deployments, lots of combat, and was severely injured in 2004. Got out in 2006, middle of 2006, and kind of bounced around and ended up in Texas, where I started training Jiu-Jitsu. We can get into that story too, but I started training Jiu-Jitsu, and it changed my life so much. And was coming here for an opportunity to be able to shoot a documentary, hopefully about my life in Jiu-Jitsu. In the process of writing a book right now, and so we're just kind of trying to get some footage, and I knew I had a connection. I could possibly get a chance to see you, and man, you're at the top of my list as one of the all-time greats that I wanted to even if none of it ever got into a movie, if it's just you and me in a dark room alone, I would have signed on to do that absolutely 100%, just to get a chance to spend time with you. And you're a great man, you're a great ambassador for the sport, and I love the opportunity to come and train with you last night. Had a blast, and then you so graciously offered to have us on the podcast, and so we're here.
Man, it's incredible. And here we have his, I don't know, right arm, left arm, right leg, front leg.
I'm his right hand and both legs, man.
And Joe, please, man, introduce yourself. And
yeah, I'm Joe Mcdowell. I've known Joey for quite a few years now, but I spent most of my years in Texas. Spent a short time in the Army, then I went contracting. Spent 2.5 years in Iraq. Joey and I were in all the same places and probably crossed paths quite a few times. We never
Chewed the same dirt.
Yeah, we never actually met each other. And I was actually injured myself pretty severely in my back in 2004. I ended up leaving Iraq. I stayed as long as I could, just knowing that my career would be over. So I stayed as long as I could and I left in 2006. And had a lot of struggles, man. I went through a lot of things, and a few years later, ended up meeting Joey. I never thought that I would be able to try jiu-jitsu or do anything like that, just because my back is so bad and I struggle with I have the severe ups and downs, right? And he's an inspiration. My wife told me, I met my wife in Iraq. She was Australian Army, and I was very much blessed with her because I don't think anybody else could have put up with me. But when I met Joey, he was an inspiration, man. It got me into jiu-jitsu, and when I started up with Alan Shabaro up there, I tell you what, it changed my life. It helps my mind get where it needed to be. So, yeah, so that's who I am, and that's why I'm with my man Joey here.
And I love want to hear from those two guys, man. They're like, let's see, Joey. Let's start with you. How was you when you were as a kid? I know you. I want to go back there in the early days. Yeah. I want people to see every side of you, because sure. Man, what I see next to me now is a giant. Yes, sir.
How much time do we have here?
All the time you need.
It turns to a psychology thing. I talk about my mom, and I grew up in North Carolina. I grew up on the coast, beach town. So
Man.
You gotta love it.
It's like Rio de Janeiro there.
It is. It's much smaller. Not much jiu-jitsu, but it was fantastic growing up there. I have 2 older brothers. I'm the youngest of 3. My dad died when I was 2.5 years old. So my mom, God bless her soul, she raised 3 boys on her own, never remarried, anything like that. And there's a big gap between me and my older brothers. I'm sure, as you know, having a huge family. There's some that you get along with because you're closer, and there's some that you're just like, hey man, you're crazy. You're crazy. You need to be over here, out there. So
I can't say which one is crazy.
We won't say
I'll
any
be in
names.
trouble with my family.
We won't say any names.
They're very good in jiu-jitsu.
So I grew up in a great beach town, and my older brothers, like when they were in middle school, I was in elementary school. they were in college. I was in middle school. The gap was just too big. So I was one of those kids. I was an outdoor kid. I loved being outside all the time. Huge into sports, just very much. My older brothers are more into art, music, and painting and drawing and that kind of stuff. And I just never had it for that. And I didn't get that gene. But sports I loved. I just loved playing sports. Basketball, football, surfing, whatever I could get into. I would immerse myself into it. And I loved doing it. And I remember as a young kid, I was like 6 or 7 years old. And there was this American Ninja. Do you guys remember the movie?
Yeah.
American Ninja movie?
I saw Mike Dudikoff.
Yes,
yeah. He's a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine.
Of course
man.
he is. You know everybody.
I know him.
You know everybody. So I was 6 or 7 years old, man. I saw that movie, and of course at that time I wanted to be a ninja. That was what I wanted to do. So
all of us, man. You're not alone on that one.
You can't talk to anybody that hasn't trained before that didn't say they wanted to be a ninja. And I loved it, man. I fell in love with it. I fell in love with Eastern philosophy and martial arts and the approach. And I just started consuming books and movies as much as I could at that time. Chuck Norris and all these guys that were.
Hey, he's my friend too.
I know. Name drop like crazy in here. So anyway, for me growing up, I liked the philosophy aspect of it, the meditation, the calmness, the self-defense, every aspect of it just really attracted me. So I started studying martial arts from the time I was 8 or 9 years old. I started in Taekwondo. I trained that for a few years. I left there, trained Okinawan Kempo Karate for 7 or 8 years, got my first degree black belt training there. Left there, trained Jeet Kune Do for a few years with a guy that came down from, I think it's Paul Varonk, or I can't pronounce his name, Paul Vonk, one of the guys who got to study with Bruce Lee. And so...
I never met Bruce Lee, but I know Danny Santo.
Danny Santo. Oh, Danny Santo is amazing, man. Great guy. So it's always been a part of my life from that first time it grabbed a hold of me, the first time I actually really saw it in real life, and it grabbed a hold of me, and I knew that it was always going to be a part of my life. So 18 years old, graduate or high school, move on to college, and I'm working full time. My mom was a very strong proponent of us being independent and going out on our own. So 18 years old, I was going to college, working 40, 50 hours a week, put myself through school. And I did that for a few years. And I saw that I could make more money working than I could paying someone for a degree that I didn't know what was going to be. So I was in and out of college and working. And then after a few years, I decided that I wanted to go into federal law enforcement. Like, as I finally had that epiphany. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, pitch black. You just got off work. You're sitting on your couch eating a bowl of ramen noodles, and the Floby hair infomercials on, and I was sitting there. I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like, I need to pick a direction. I need to start moving forward towards something. And so after some soul searching, I realized that inside of me was a desire to want to help people, to take care of people. And so law enforcement seemed to be a natural fit. I did some research. I wanted to go into federal law enforcement, and a lot of those jobs you have to have a 4-year degree. So now I'm back to where I started from. I got to go back to school and finish school. But then at the very bottom, and this is before 2001, 9/11, 2001. In very small print, the bottom says if you have military experience, you get bumped to the top of the list. So if you have military service time, and I was like, okay, well, they're going to pay for me to go to college. I get the military experience, and I get on-the-job training. So I went and signed up into the military, signed up with the Army. I wanted to be a military police officer because I figured that would be a good route to transition for law enforcement. So I joined, went to basic training in AIT, which AIT is Advanced Individual Training. So that basically is whatever your job is going to be in whichever military service you go into, they train you for that job. So I did basic training, which is where they take everybody, they strip you down, they turn you into a soldier or a Marine or a Corpsman, Navy, whatever it's going to be. And then you go through your job training. And then I left there and I went to I left there and I went to airborne school. So when you go in and talk to the recruiters, recruiters are notorious for this stuff, right? So I go in and talk to the recruiter. He's like, oh yeah, scored really high on my ASVAB. So he said, whatever job you want to do, whatever you want to do. And I was like, well, I want to be an MP. He's like, okay, cool. So where do you want to go? And I was like, well, I'd like to go to Fort Bragg because it's real close to my home. And he goes, oh yeah, okay, cool, great. He said, we're going to have to send you to airborne school. And I was like, well, what's airborne school? And he goes, oh, don't worry about it. They're going to pay you an extra $125 a month. It's great, man. You're going to have a blast. Don't worry about it. I was like, okay, cool. So I signed the dotted line, went off. So airborne school is where they teach you how to jump out of freaking airplanes, but you don't get to do the cool, like, 10-mile up skydive. No. They drop you out like 1,000 feet, and they actually cut holes in the parachutes to make you go from the plane to the ground faster. Because it was World War II. The guys were jumping out of the planes. They were getting shot down. So like, we have to make it as fast a descent as possible, but as safe as possible. So they actually cut holes in the parachutes. Man, I'll never forget. My first canopy opened up, and I was like, I'm dead. I'm dead because there's holes all in it. And you hit the ground like a sack of potatoes. But anyway, so I went to airborne school, graduated, got to Fort Bragg, and literally a month after I got to Fort Bragg was when the planes went in. And I just remember that sense of, oh my gosh, what's going on? And the fear that it struck, and we didn't know, and I was new into the military, we didn't know what was going on and what to expect. And at that time, we just reacted to what was going on. We had to shut down the post because at that time, Fort Bragg was an open post. You could, if you were a civilian, you could drive through post.
Yes.
So we had to completely close everything down, which fell on us as military police officers. So we shut the entire post down, and then about a month after that, not even less than a month, maybe 2 weeks after that, they told me that we were loading up when we were going to D.C. So we all got loaded up on, I know I'm jumping around all over the place, but went to D.C. where the plane went into the Pentagon, worked security there, came back, rotated, trained up, went to Afghanistan, did missions there, came home, and then Iraq, and then got injured in 2004 and got out.
How was that for you? Like, because in a way I feel similar to you, but at the same time different. Because I born without 4 fingers.
Yes.
I mean, right from the bat, I have to adjust myself. For me, I never adjust to anything. It is what it is.
Right.
And in your case, you went to war and then you come back and 2 legs and 1 arm. How is that? Because I'll be honest, I'm so impressed talking to you and seeing you, that spirit that you have, the spirit that you conquer and realize, man, I have a lot more to live. How is that for you? Because I'm sure a lot of people out there been through similar things as you, a lot less, and they're not able to deal as well as you. When was that click on you that you realized, you know what? I'm young still. You have a daughter, right?
Two kids.
2 kids. Man, I wanna see my grandkids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When that happened for you, when did you feel that click that said, man, I wanna live. I wanna have a life back the way you wanna live?
Yeah. There was a fear when I first woke up in the hospital because I don't remember the incident. I remember being in country, and then the next thing I know was a series of extremely bad nightmares that I had. And then when I woke up, like I was asleep, but then I woke up and I was in the hospital, and I was under a lot of pain medication because they were still doing surgeries on me every other day. But they finally got me through Germany and back to the States, and I was back home, and I woke up in the hospital, and the first thing went through my mind was, okay, does my family know? Does everyone I'm in the hospital, so I know I'm in the best place I could be no matter what happened. But what I wanted to make sure was that my family know what was going on. And they were like, yeah, your family knows, they're here. And I was like, okay. So kind of drifted back in and out. It took about a week before the haze started to clear, from all the medication that I was on. And I remember the fear of, well, what am I going to do now? Like, what is my life? I had no idea. None. I had no idea what my life from that point on was going to entail. And I was raised single mother, raising 3 boys. She was a tough woman, as I'm sure you can relate. All of us can probably relate.
Sure.
We're here because we probably had hard-ass moms.
I was more afraid of my mom than my dad.
Yes, exactly, right? Oh, but she was judge, jury, and executioner. And it happened sometimes in like a split second. But no, she was great. And so I was raised without taking on any real self-pity. So part of it was how I was raised. But somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew. I was like, there's nothing I can do to change my situation. I cannot go back in time. There's no surgery. Nothing is going to give me back what I have lost. So the only choice I have 2 choices. I can accept it and move on, or I can give up. and I'm too damn stubborn to give up. So I said, okay, we're going to accept it. And no matter what comes, and I didn't know, whatever happens from here, we're going to take it and we're going to keep driving forward.
Well, in that early point, too, you still didn't know, how long was it till you knew if you're going to be able to save that hand or have function out of it?
Oh, when I woke, so not to get too much into it, but I was fortunate and unfortunate at the same time. I was fortunate in the sense that I didn't have any brain issues and I didn't have any internal organ issues. All of my injuries were external limbs, but at the same time, all of those injuries were catastrophic injuries. So every major bone in my body has been broken. So my humerus, the bone from your shoulder to your elbow, was broken, and I'm talking about fractures, not like complete fractures. Both my femurs were fractured. My wrist and my thumb and the metacarpals in my hand and my pinky were all fractured. So when I woke up, I was literally like 4 casts, out to the side like this, just completely. I remember just trying to move around with those casts on was just ridiculous. And because my brain was used to having the weight and everything, it was just really weird. But yeah, I woke up and I was like, I don't know. I mean, they were literally feeding me, wiping my behind, changing my clothes, every single thing. And I didn't know what was going to be the next steps. But yeah, it was, I broke and crushed and tore and pretty much anything that from extremity wise, arm wise and legs wise it got messed up pretty good. So.
Man, that's impressive. That's why, man, I love to have you here and people to listen to that, and for me too, because it's a real story of a Superman.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Because
I appreciate that.
We have a lot more for you to go down one road, then you decide, no, that's not for me. I want to go this way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It was like accepting defeat in a way, and I could not let myself get to the point in my mind where I was going to be defeated. I couldn't.
So you're a competitive person by.
I would say, yeah.
I
would say so. Let me say, if we get 2 wheelchairs, if you get another wheelchair right now, I'm gonna race you around. Like it's just, it's part of who I am. But it's not even just that competitive. So we're all a little bit competitive in certain ways, man. But it was just. I wasn't going to give up.
That's what I mean. It's just because, it's one thing to have, how many times do we tell each other, you have to believe in yourself and you never give up and you persevere. But then when reality hits you smack in the face and you wake up one morning and you're just
faced with it.
You're faced with it. Not everybody has that. Well, that was good then, but now it's a different story. Sure. It's like, and it's for you to just have that mental fortitude. I was doing some reading on you and, I want to put it on a shirt. It was, I don't see obstacles. I just see a different way of getting things done.
Yeah.
What an amazing quote. And no wonder you're such a natural at jiu-jitsu because.
Oh, I'm not a natural at jiu-jitsu.
I trained with you last night. And
I have to work what little ass I have left. I have to work off to get good at jiu-jitsu. But that's the beauty of it too. And that's what brings us, what the 4 of us can be in this room together talking about what brought us here to this point is that beauty of jiu-jitsu. It's an opportunity to train with individuals and learn and grow. But I don't know, man. So people come up to me all the time. They're like, Joey, you're an inspiration. And I'm like, that's great. I'm so glad that I can inspire you. But that's not why I do what I do. I live my life the best way I can live it every single day. If that inspires you, that's fantastic. That's something good that has come out of this injury. But I'm not doing it for you, man. I'm doing it for me, and I'm living my life. And and I'm appreciative. Don't get me wrong. I love it. People come up, hey man, you're inspiration. Help me out. That's great.
For us to love others, we have to love ourselves first. Yeah. And we know what love is.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now let me go here to Joe over here, sitting next to us, sir. Yes, because to me, I'm trying to understand because I was never in this position. You guys willing to put your life on the line, not sure what the mission would be. Just flying to another country and bullets flying, bombs everywhere. What make you guys, and for me to understand that, and you come back, and man, for me this is amazing because Brazil is very different. We did not have at least understanding about wars and all those missions that we have out there. And now I'm talking to 2 guys that being in a real war. As people sometimes fantasize watching movies. Movie Nobody gets hurt in the movie, you know. Oh, that guy, no, he didn't die. He's just an actor. He's fine. And you guys being in a battlefield, I want to from you, Joe, and because it's not sometimes the physical injury that we have is most of things is what we have in our mind to adapt, to adjust ourselves to, how to say, be who we are, who we were before everything. How was that for you, Joe? Can you go through your early days also in your life? Because we all have something in common, man. Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu hit, we're going to get there, but hit us in the way that we always want to learn Jiu-Jitsu, that make us better person, that make us make good friends, make us want to go and train better and get better. And we're going to get that point, but I want to hear from you too, Joe, because you've been in the battlefield, and you guys developed such a beautiful friendship and supporting each other.
Yeah, so with me, I grew up, I was actually born and raised in Washington State, I guess until I was about 12, and then I moved down to Texas, and I've been there ever since. And so I guess almost 30 years now, in and out of Texas, between the military and being overseas. My whole life, pretty much as far back as I can remember, all I wanted to do was be able to go fight bad guys. That was literally all I wanted to do. So, it's, I grew up in the country, did a lot of rodeoing, rode bulls, rope steers, I was a team roper. But when I was 17, went ahead and got in the military, and I was a short time in the military, and I got out, and in transition was just lucky enough to know some guys that were in country in Iraq. This was in 03 when the big invasion, so that would have been May, April. So by September 03, I was in Iraq as a civilian contractor for security, and I ended up spending about 2.5 years over there, and we just doing a lot of running and gunning, man. It all comes down to, in the end, we're just there to protect people, right? And that was our job, and I ended up losing a lot of very close friends. Two of my mentors, and one very, very good friend of mine that was, we traveled together. He was from Dallas also, where I'm from, and one of the things that Jiu-Jitsu helped me, so for me, I'll just quickly spin into this, but when you live that lifestyle for 2.5 years straight, you live a life of really no rules. It's me against him, or essentially it's just stay alive, right? Your adrenaline is so high every day. And it doesn't matter if you're a damn cook in Iraq, like you can die any day, any time. You don't know, right? So there's so many people in so many different walks of their career or what job they had. It doesn't matter. If you're in a war, in a place where you can die any second, it gets to you. And the one thing that happened that was hard for me is when you work at a high level like that and it gets cut short and it's over in an instant. You can't do that anymore, but your brain is programmed to live with these kind of almost no rules, kind of everybody does everything. There's no bills to pay. You do your job, that's it. And most of your job is pretty much stay alive, right? And when that ends, it was hard on me. And so for me, that's where Jiu-Jitsu helped me. And that's where the mental part, there's a lot of broken people that Jiu-Jitsu can really help, and it helped me tremendously.
Do you think also in Jiu-Jitsu, because I think when we're in places like that, our friend next to us, it's family to us. That's why I have everyone surround you is like, man, I would die for him, he'll die for me. That's for sure.
It's that brotherhood.
And did you, in a way, felt in a Jiu-Jitsu school something similar to that? When you come in, you feel that brotherhood, like everyone here is so connected.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that drew me to it. I mean, as a military guy, you always seek out other military guys, which is how I ended up running across Joey, and we just became friends right away. And then he's doing this thing, and it's something that I thought I couldn't do. I watched him do it, and well, I guess I probably need to try this. And because my son was also doing it, I had him in the classes. And one of the things I had dealt with for a lot of years, and I still do off and on, but it's I don't know if you call it an anger or it's a need to feel something, the rush, the adrenaline, and not only do you come in here and in jiu-jitsu you can get that, right? You're gonna battle. You got another guy choking you out. It doesn't matter. You're friends at the end of the day. You slap hands, you go. But in the end, you got a brotherhood.
I had one student over here. He was a football player. He was like 6'6".
So Andre?
Yeah, I don't know, 250. Nobody. I was a monster. And he's no longer playing. He retired, but he's still, man, in amazing shape. He's coaching now. But he said something that the athlete, in that case, as an athlete, he needs that edge. And he could not find anything until he found jiu-jitsu to keep that edge, to keep his mental wellness okay.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That was the thing, is like that because we train friendly, but in a way, man, I want to train with you, and I train nice with you, but I want to get you.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean I don't like you. No, that's the jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? That's the idea. We're playing chess with our bodies.
Absolutely.
And I want to play and do better.
But we all want to win.
Exactly. and I think in an amazing way, that creates a competition. But in no point is like, I don't like you or not. No, even whoever gets anybody, we laugh about it.
You never met.
You got me today, tomorrow I'm going to go after you. And
yeah, but competition breeds growth, in my opinion. There's stagnation if he's better than you and you're better than me and I'm better than him, and we keep going around, and then all of a sudden the next day you're better than me and he's better. You know what I mean? It makes everyone grow and rise to that level, and there's nothing wrong with competition. Competition is great. Everyone, in my opinion,
you need competition.
Should have competition in their lives.
Man, if the day I tell my students, so far so good. So far nobody tapped me in my own school. And I tell those guys, man, don't get me wrong, I train more than you train.
Sure.
To all my students. I look at my students, man, you train 3 days a week? I'm here 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pushing that as far as I can. And that's something that sooner or later is going to happen, which I'm going to be laughing about it.
Of course.
Don't think that I'm going to like it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I tell my students, and I train and nice with everyone, but that's the winning mentality. I want to always...
Absolutely. And so I think, and plus, I mean, not switch gears too much, but I think the instructor of the schools, their mentality, their personality, their beliefs kind of bleed down through just a little bit, but they bleed down through the instructors and through down into the students, and that's more of that family environment. That's more of that kind of growing together with each other.
Jiu-Jitsu, when my family, when we start understanding what it was everywhere. I was going to Carlos Gracie Sr.'s house to have lunch, sitting on the table, have lunch with him. I mean, I'm leaving jiu-jitsu in a meal. Then I go visit my other uncle, Uncle Helio Grace, Christmas at his house. Then I'm spending Christmas, the whole 40 kids, a lot of kids everywhere. Yeah. But it's our jiu-jitsu conversation, and every conversation is a learning process.
Right.
And you understanding the philosophy, the mentality, the winning mentality, the learn how to deal with fear. And we grew up, and many times the cousins would go into some waterfalls, and one of them say, "Oh, I jump if you jump." Then you go like, "Man, I don't know, it's pretty high here." Then you go, "Oh, you're not gonna jump? Are you afraid to jump?" "No, I'm not afraid to jump." "Okay, if you jump, I jump." Man, we spend 3-4 hours there until someone jumps. And when one person jump, the other one say like, "Shit, I have to jump now." But that was us growing up, and we love each other.
Yeah, of course.
And Hansel, I'll tell something, and Hansel will remember that. We went to a nightclub, and nightclub was nothing happening there, and 2 o'clock in the morning, look at each other. I think I'm going to go back home running. And we're like 5 miles from the house. But we are boots, the sweaters, I mean, we're not ready. Then he goes like, "Oh, if you run, I run." Then we're both... my brothers and cousins driving the car slow on the side, then we're both just running. Because we said, if you run, I run. Then if he runs, I have to run.
Yeah.
Then here we go on that competitive mentality, which make everyone.
But so, and then the bonds that you build. So when you were talking about the family, right? Well, it kind of happened in the military.
That translates into the school.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I want to say. The lineage comes from the house, and my school is my living room.
Yes.
I spend more time here than my own house.
I can tell when you walk in, there's a comfort not only from you, but also from all of your instructors and students, and everyone's very comfortable. Okay, let's they shake hands and the greetings are passed, and then it's time to train, which is fantastic. But when you were talking about the family environment, there's something that happened in the military that I didn't even realize was going to happen. But when you go through those trials and tribulations, and you share them with other people, where you bleed and sweat together to come to the other side of something, a bond gets built between those individuals. Mm-hmm. And then what happens from that is over time and more, it grows into a family. Well, after I got injured and after Joe got injured so quickly, and what a lot of guys and girls struggle with is because instantaneously that family is gone. They're ripped away from their family, but still they have to recover and do what they were taken care of. And then, but even after that, there's still a separation. And then the separation comes and they're lost. What I found and I tried everything after I got out, into football games and meet this star and go to this place and try over here. It took me getting into a jiu-jitsu gym that I found that family again, because we're on the mats, we are training, we're sweating, we are building those bonds over time with each other, and they truly are my family. And then you find the family that best suits your personality because it trickles down, and then you're like, this is the place for me. And I'm telling you, I can tell you everyone's first name, how many kids they have, pretty much where they live, because I've probably been to their house, and what their favorite jiu-jitsu moves are. You know what I mean? Like, this is how you got to beat this person. It's like, whether you can do it or not, it's a different story. But, it's, and they are their family. You go through that blood and that sweat. And then putting you put your arm around my neck. I'm not trying to rip your head off.
Hey, remember to raise your shoulders, the arm around the neck.
Shrug.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so, but I'm trusting you, right? I'm trusting that you're going to let go when I tap. And that's huge. It's a big deal. I'm putting my life in your hands and saying, I trust you. And that's where that deep family bond goes.
But that's a missing link for a lot of veterans when they come home.
They don't find that second family again.
That when you find that family, it's like instantly, man, like you feel like a weight's lifted off you. When you leave the gym, you still have your demons to deal with. When you're in the gym, you have your family, and then you quickly realize that your family's there. You can call on your family for help. And getting that helps veterans. I believe it's a fundamental thing, and that's why, Joey and We Defy and myself were huge proponents of getting veterans into jiu-jitsu.
I want to point something that Joey said is, you do all those things for you. Mm-hmm. And to your mind now, even though the challenge that you have, you're just doing what you do. You think it's normal. Just to see the amount of level you say today that I'm doing what I'm doing, not to inspire anybody, just to live my life. But just the fact that you're thinking like that, this is something that you already pass in a way of see that as a problem or see that as, I can't do big. No, you're way past that. And that is impressive. That's why you don't notice that. But people from outside, they see you a lot bigger than you think you put yourself into.
Oh, well, thank you.
No, this is reality, man. Yeah. And this is something that when I got the message from you guys, like, man, please, what an honor for me to have you guys come in here, because you have millions of schools around the world and thousands around our country, and you chose to come in here. I mean, I have to feel blessed with that opportunity to meet you guys and do anything that I can possibly to help you out. I was talking to Jay, and I would really like you guys talking about that foundation that you create. Mm-hmm. I will put my school at your hands. Anybody that locally want to train and come here and be a part of that the whole year, whatever you want me to do, I will follow that. And my school is open doors for anybody that you recommend to come here.
That's incredible.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Anybody that's veteran, because if we do what we do, it's because of people like you guys. If
Absolutely.
we have the opportunity to live the life we live, it's because you guys put your life a little bit aside for others. And it's more like an obligation to me. That's the way I feel. No way I can repay what you guys done. That's impossible. But is there anything that I can do, man, you can count me for whatever.
Well,
okay?
I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm sure that Joe feels the same way. There are a lot of people out there who do not understand how good they have it here with the freedoms that they're given just by being born in this country. They take it for granted.
I love America. I came from Brazil with no accident. I love the country. I love the country that gives people opportunity.
Yes, sir.
And no other country in the world, and I travel around the world a lot, will give the opportunity that America gives to people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when people come up to me often, they say, thank you for your sacrifice, thank you for what you've done. And what I try to say to them and what I really want them to say and what I'm going to say to you is that thank you for being worth it. You know what I mean? Thank you for being the kind of person that recognizes this and is going to stand up and do something about it, rather than just sit back and complain about how terrible their life is when really they have every opportunity. They just got to get over their own mental to go and do it for themselves. So thank you for being one of those people, and thank you for being one of those people that's worth the sacrifice that we've made.
And I don't have no words but I'm here, and I want people to know about that foundation, the organization that you guys are passing along and spreading that art there to everyone. I want to do the same thing. Every channel, every opportunity that I have, I want people to hear about it, because I think it's one of the huge things we can do for anyone that comes back from combat. Is in a way to give a little bit of their life back.
Oh, absolutely.
A little bit of joy. And I know for a fact, and you guys are proof of that Jiu-Jitsu schools can do that.
Right. Absolutely. So it started off, just as I was telling you, when I started training Jiu-Jitsu with my coach, Alan Shabaro in Texas. He's ex-military as well, and so we immediately had a bond personally. And then it was funny, I was asking him one day, because he's special forces, so he's been through a lot of top-level shooting schools. And I was asking him one day if he had any tips for being able to shoot from a wheelchair, being able to have how to draw, how to clear, and how to fire from being seated in a wheelchair. So we talked over a couple ideas, and then he says, well, have you ever thought about jiu-jitsu? And I was like, no, man, I'd never thought about jiu-jitsu. He said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you come in on Tuesday, just you and I, just the two of us will get on the mat. I just want to see you move around. I want to see how mobile you are. I want to see what you can do. And we'll start there. And I was like, okay, cool. So I came in on that Tuesday, got on the mat. I remember it clear as it was yesterday. And he was like, okay, well, can you move? Can you shift your hips? What's your balance like? Well, how hard can you grip? Can you bend your elbows? Like, we just started from square one and just broke it all the way down. And then it was like, okay, well, we could. And he's like, I remember, I can work with this. I can work with this. So the first thing he ever taught me was a single arm rear naked choke, how to get the grip and the pressure and be able to apply the back of the head to finish the choke. And we worked on that for a little while. And he goes, okay, cool, great, man. You okay? You good to have fun? Yeah, it was cool. All right. So what are you doing Thursday? Nothing. I don't have any plans. Okay, well, I'll come back on Thursday. We'll work again on Thursday. Great, I'll be there. Show up on the next Thursday. Go over some more stuff. Cool. How are you? Next Tuesday, you're good? Clear next Tuesday? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll see you next Tuesday. And it went like that. Tuesday, Thursday. Then it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And went from that to, I finally reached out to him one day and I said, hey, we've been doing a lot of stuff, but I want to see if this stuff will really work. So can I come to your group class? I want to try in your group class and see how applicable this stuff is that we've been working. Absolutely. I want you to. I'd love for you to. And this is what I was talking about last night, man, because I was afraid. I was scared. So I don't want people to think that I wear this cloak and I'm Superman and it's invincible. No, I have the same stuff go through my head that everybody else does. I just choose to face it with a different mentality than most people do. Throw me in the fire. As hard, as difficult, whatever it's going to be, that's what I want. But I was apprehensive about going in and training with these people. They didn't know me, and I didn't know how I was going to be treated and received. And I went in, and everyone was fantastic and shaking hands and very pleasant. And then when the clock started, that was it. They put it on me, man. Like, I was getting tapped out every 15, 30 seconds. Tap, on mistake, tap,
You tell me something that I remember as a kid. Some people look and because I don't have the fingers, they treat you like, oh, I'm sorry. And how is that for you? How you feel like people treat you like?
It upsets me.
That's exactly how I used to feel. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, sorry for what? If I'm sorry, I'll be home not doing anything.
Right.
But in the gym, we don't feel sorry for him.
No,
we're having to choke him out.
And that's okay, Bo. But that's so part of that loss and part of going through that recovery.
This is real love.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we know that we're doing good for each other.
Yes.
that's the real thing, and you are aware of, and you put up with, and okay, you got to choke me again because I'm going to keep coming back at you.
Damn right. And that's, to me, it's respect.
Exactly.
I respect you enough that I'm not going to take it easy on you because you may have a different body than mine or mental state than mine or whatever the case may be. So yeah, man, they put it on me hard, like just, and then at the end he was smiling and you're so great to see you here. It's fantastic, man. Keep up the good work. And I'm like, good work? What the hell? And it just made me more, I don't want to say angry, but it was what you were talking about, that competitive fire and spirit, right? That just burns inside and you just, yes, I want more of this. I want more of this. What can I do to make myself better? And so that's where, and then the foundation just kind of grew from that. It became this idea that we could bring in these veterans, these combat disabled veterans, both physical and mental, bring them into a gym local to where they are, and get them into a place where they're training not only for themselves, where they're the competitiveness, the fire, the physical benefit, the mental benefit. You know, we're talking about, you said that one of my most favorite analogies that I use for jiu-jitsu is that you're playing chess while you're wrestling. And you just said that earlier. It's like you're playing chess while you're being physical. And I don't know how else to explain it. You have to live in that moment right then. You can't carry all your baggage with you. Who gives a crap if I got one arm?
If you're not thinking about your neck by them, you're going to get choked.
Yeah, they're happy,
there
right? They're happy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's only got one arm I got to worry about, man. I'm going to choke the crap out of this kid. But like I said, it comes back to respect. And once I saw, and then so within the diversity of a school, you have teachers, lawyers, policemen, actors, actresses, all walks of life.
Everything.
And they're in here.
Tell me a profession I have here.
Oh,
ever.
All of
anything.
them. All of them. And it's everywhere. So one of the big things, they call it the military civilian divide. One of the big things is that the military people were coming back, transitioning out of the military, and their argument was that the civilians didn't understand. You don't understand what I've been through. You don't understand what I've seen. Rightfully so, but they were using that as a barricade, and there was no back and forth. So they weren't integrating back into society properly. Now, when they hung out with other military people, it was great.
You're always happy.
Always
You're with
happy.
your people, you know.
But you weren't with someone that you had built that bond with. We were talking about earlier. You haven't built that bond, and jiu-jitsu did that. So now you're in there, and you're doing what's good for you, your body, physically and mentally, but you're also putting yourself out there and meeting people and going through these trials and tribulations with these other people that are regular people. And now you're going to your friend's house and you're hanging out and you're having beers and you're talking about you're watching the UFC fight, even though he's an elementary school teacher or whatever it may be. Or you're talking about jiu-jitsu at every single meal you go to or whatever.
There you go.
You can always pick the jiu-jitsu people out because they're always talking about jiu-jitsu.
I never, in 50 years on the mat, I never met anyone that start training jiu-jitsu and not become a better person.
Oh, yes.
Happier, healthier, making friends. I think jiu-jitsu balances in a way that we're not becoming Superman, we just become normal. As we go through the life ups and downs that we are not in a normal stage, jiu-jitsu just level you up.
Yeah.
And you notice that everybody around you in jiu-jitsu are on the same level of you are. That's why, in a way, we understand each other. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a jiu-jitsu language. I understand everything that you're saying with the coming back, all the struggles. And jiu-jitsu does that every day.
Yeah.
One day I'm being choked, next day I'm choking somebody.
Yeah.
One day somebody arm me. And, you know, it's you being up and down, and that's what happened in our lives.
Yeah.
We go through days that are better than others, but we kind of balance yourself that, okay, it's another day, but I'm fine. I'm going to go by.
Yeah, and if you can come in the gym and you could do the things that you do in the gym and learn, then the other things in your life seem to be smaller and not as big of a deal, you know? And so the foundation, what we saw was this is a good template. We can take this and we can help other veterans out. So if there's a twofold part to what the foundation does. There's the schools and then there's the veterans, students. So with the schools, what we do is we have the schools apply through our application process. Real simple. You go online. It's wedefyfoundation.org. And there's an application for schools, application for veterans. So the schools apply and they go through a vetting process. And part of that process is we want to make sure that they're a good, outstanding person in their community, that they're going to do well.
Yes.
We actually check the lineage of their black belts because we want to make sure
it's real.
A, that it's real, but B, that so if someone like myself or with another physical disability shows up into a school to train with the black belt, that if they don't have answers, they can have someone to reach out to have those answers.
Yes.
Rather than just, well, man, I don't know, I can't help you, or make some stuff up that's not good. Hey, I don't know, but my instructor is someone I can reach out to. And having that lineage has always been very important, not only within the sport, but also with what we're trying to do. And I think it is important to carry it on and recognize it, and it is a benefit. So the schools apply. Once the schools get approved, they're sent a banner and a certificate that they place in their school, and then they go onto a national list that we have. And then so that's that side, and then the other side is the veteran will apply, and if the veteran meets all the qualifications for the application, they get awarded a 1-year scholarship. It's 1 year long, but it's 6 months and 6 months. So and I like this because it holds the veteran accountable. We're going to give you 6. We're not going to pay for a year automatically. We're going to pay for 6 months. But if you don't show up and train at least twice a week for that 6 months, you lose your scholarship and it goes to someone else. So it puts more onus on the veteran to show up.
People that really want to change their life.
Yes, absolutely. Well, so the veteran applies, and then we match them with the school in their area that was already been approved. So we know everything's good to go. And then once they meet and everything's good, they check out and the student says, yeah, I want to train here, then we send the school the tuition check.
I would say one thing to you. My school, I don't want to see any money. Okay. Whatever people come here, you donate that to somebody else that needs in other areas, not my school.
Well, thank you very much.
It's amazing.
It's something that I need more people like you here.
Oh, thank you.
Like both of you guys, which will be so inspirational for a lot of people here to understand and see life with a different prospect.
Yes, sir.
You know one thing I feel like is where We Defy is different is where Alan and Joey and all of us, the mindset of veterans don't need free stuff thrown at them. That's not going to make them happy. It's not going to fix anything. Buying me stuff or taking me to football, that's not going to fix anything. Maybe I get to hang out with some other guys.
It's a little break from
it's a commitment.
But it doesn't do anything.
People can come and train at my place, but if they don't show up, I'll tell you, look, they're not showing up. You know what I mean?
That's
Absolutely.
where jiu-jitsu, they got to go in, they have to commit. But in the end, they can quickly realize that they're helping themselves. They don't even know it.
Oh, yeah.
By just showing up and doing jiu-jitsu, things will start to click and things will start to get better. And it goes into just free stuff doesn't help anybody with anything.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity they have to make a change in their lives, you know? And that's the way I see it. You're not giving anything free meal. No. You're giving them a chance to change their life, and they will change their life.
Absolutely.
And I have no doubt that as soon as they start showing up at this school, it's like, well, I want to come back here every day, not twice a week. And I think Jiu-Jitsu has that power to change people.
I agree. I know because it's done it for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this is incredible. And again, you can count us here for anything that you need. We're going to be on board 100%.
Great. So I'm going to be back. I'm going to move to LA, and I'm going to come train every day.
We'll be waiting. We'll be waiting.
It's too late now. You're part of this already. You're already in, sir.
I'm in. You got me. I'm in.
Tell me this. What made you start competing in Jiu-Jitsu?
My instructor, his philosophy, and the way it was presented to me, it made perfect sense to me. He approaches Jiu-Jitsu from a perspective of self-defense. We're not allowed to pull guard in the school that I train at. He teaches a lot of stand-up. He's a judo black belt. So get on top, stay on top, dominant position. You always want to be in a position of control. And so part of that was that the competition aspect was a chance for me to go and test my skills even further, right? There's nothing like being on a mat in a ring with someone for 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes, whatever long, and that person is trying to put you to sleep or render you incapable of continuing to fight. And that you have to go and either do the same thing to that person and or defend against what they're doing. It's the ultimate test. Jiu-Jitsu is the only martial art where you can go 100%. Everything else, you have to pull, unless you're fighting, right? Fighting, you have to pull your punches. And in training, And then to me, that's unrealistic. It's not, I don't have a full sense of self-defense if every time I'm punching or kicking, I'm pulling my punches, because what happens through the military, they teach us that you train as you're going to fight. So everything we do, every time you squeeze the trigger, we're firing a round down range. It's real. We got to live it. So it's the same way with training. Every time I throw an arm bar or put someone in a choke, it's to finish that choke. It's to finish that person. And I know without a doubt that I could transition that straight to the street. And if I had someone in that position, it's going to work. Whereas with other martial arts, you don't get that. And so competition was the next level. First it was, okay, let's see what you can do. Then it was, okay, let's see if what you can do can work against other people. Then it was, let's see if what you can do can work in the situation where someone's trying to win. Someone's trying to take you out.
Especially someone that you don't train with every day.
At all, yeah.
You have no idea what they know, what they can do.
Exactly. And so
that's a real deal.
And that's I haven't competed. I got promoted to purple belt 2 years ago. I competed right after I got promoted to purple belt. There were a lot of things that were going on personally in my life, and then of course the COVID stuff hit. But I stepped back and I said, I want 500 rounds. I want 500 rounds under my belt as a purple belt before I go out and compete again. And I'm getting pretty close to that 500 rounds again. So when I reach that, then it's going to be, I'm going to set my next goal for being able to compete. And then I'm going to go out and compete again. I've already competed a dozen times. So go out and compete again.
Man, fantastic.
Yep. Do you have case studies, or I shouldn't say case study, it's not really the right word. You get a lot of feedback from the veterans that receive these scholarships. You get a lot of, like not a testimonial, but I'm sure stories of how it's helped them.
Oh yeah, all the time. I had to step back from my position. I helped found the We Defy Foundation. I was one of the founders, and I ran it for a very long time, and I was the president for quite a few years. It got to a point where the work had grown to a point where it was just too much for one person, and so we're bringing other people on to help out. And one of them is a wonderful, wonderful woman, Keely Kincannon. She works in our office out in Texas, but she's the one that takes in all the veterans applications, and I had to give it to someone else because the stories, man. Because we got to a point where we're like, hey, we want you to explain why you think jiu-jitsu would help you. What makes you? This is the beginning of the application process, and then the emails that were coming in after that of, man, I gonna tell you a personal story too. I went out to go do a seminar. A buddy of mine said, hey, we're doing a seminar raising money for We Defy Foundation. Joey, would you come out and speak? Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. So we flew out to Knoxville or Nashville, Tennessee, or I think it was Knoxville. And what's the base out there in Tennessee?
I don't remember.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway, there's a big military post out there in Tennessee. It's leaving my head right now. And then there's a lot of jiu-jitsu around that area. So he was putting on a clinic or a seminar for the foundation. So I went out there, showed up, and these two guys come walking up to me on the mat. They go, hey, my name's so-and-so. This is my buddy so-and-so. He's never done jiu-jitsu before, but I drug him out here. He's a veteran, combat veteran. We shared some stories, and he goes, he's struggling, so I wanted to get him out. So I just drug him out of the house today. She kind of played it off as not that big of a deal. Drug him out of the house today, and we're here to try out some jiu-jitsu. And I said, look, man, I'm the president of the foundation. I said, here's my card, here's my number. It's like, if you want to train jiu-jitsu, I'll make it happen. Whatever you need, don't worry about it. Here's my information. You just tell the person that you're applying through that I gave you the okay and that we're good to go. So later on that afternoon, the guy, not the person that he brought, but the person that brought him came up to me, and he said, I just want to let you know that, like, yesterday he had a gun in his mouth, and I had to literally pull it away from him from being able to kill himself. And after talking with, and I just brought him out just to get him out of the house. I thought this would be good for him. He goes, and after meeting and talking to you, that he's going to be doing this, and I can see the spark. I can see that it's starting where he's going to be changing his life and moving away from the depression and moving in the right direction. And I get emails all the time of people who say, hey, man, you don't know how close I was to the edge. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Jiu-jitsu saved my life. I get those all the time. And it was so overwhelming. I had to eventually give it to someone else to say, here, I can't do this. And
my uncle now, I'm sure he's up there. He's extremely happy to see that the art that he creates, the intention that he had behind the art is being translating through so many people. And yourself and the people that you're helping now are exactly the translation of the jiu-jitsu that he had in mind.
Probably, yeah. I got
You know, it's amazing to see. I wish he was here alive to see that all that he had to go through, the fights, the challenge, to prove the point of the efficiency, the difference of jiu-jitsu among all the other martial arts is being proven again in very different areas of people did not realize what jiu-jitsu was made for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's incredible.
Absolutely.
It's incredible. Now, that's one question that I always ask everyone, and I'm sure it's an easy question to ask, and I'm going to ask each one of you. Let me start with this gentleman over here. Who is Joe?
Who is Joe? That's, hell, I think that's a question I ask myself probably on a weekly basis at least. Joe's a guy that took a lot of years to figure out what's important in his life. And I'm a guy who loves my family. I love my friends who are my family. And I try each day to try to love everything I do. And I figured out that the things in life, if you don't love doing it, don't do it. Figure out what you want to do. Figure out being rich, chasing money, that all those things, they're nothing. Love and happiness are what's important. So for me, I want to help people, and I just want to continue to just every day try to continue loving life and enjoy my life. That's the most important thing I can do. And through that, hopefully, I get to bring people with me and have them with me and next to me, because the best thing in my life that I have are my brothers and my wife and my son, for sure. So
Please, sir, continue to do so, because you're affecting a lot of people that you might not even have an idea. Please.
if I can help
continue to do
one
so.
person, I'm happy.
You're helping a lot more than one. That's for sure. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much, Joe.
Thank you.
Sir, now that's question. Who is Joey?
I to be honest with you, I'm the guy that when I lay my head on the pillow every single night, I ask myself, did I do the best job I could do today? And some days it's great, and I crushed life, and it was fantastic. And some days just getting out of bed and just taking my dogs for a walk and going to the mailbox is the best I can do that day. But at the end of the day, when I lay my head on my pillow, I sleep well every single night, because I know that no matter what happened that day, I gave the best I had that day. And if you can't and you're not doing that, change it and do it. But for me personally, that's how I live my life.
Sir, please. Again, that's you're doing a lot more than you think you're doing, for sure. To me, it's a special moment, because I don't think I ever had any guest here with such an impact in my life, and evidently millions of other people's life that they don't even realize. It was an honor of me to have both of you guys over here. Looking for many more podcasts, looking for many more mat time training, and please continue to do what you're doing, because it's incredible. It's
Yes, sir.
incredible.
Very
Thank
inspiring.
you.
Thank you both.
It's my honor. Thank you very much.
Well,
It's an honor to
Honor
meet you
was
guys.
all ours.
Thank you. I gotta thank also Renzo that made this, end up making the connection, and through Jiu-Jitsu that make what people think is a lot of things in life is impossible, and more and more every day Jiu-Jitsu shows me nothing.
I tell you what, you get
Nothing's impossible.
Henzo down here, I'll come back. Me, you, and Henzo.
Look, he knows that the time he lands in LAX here, I'm gonna pick him up. He's gotta come here.
You call me, I'll come down. The three of us will do it.
That'll be awesome. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Both
Thank
of you.
you.
Thank you.